Well, a lot of stuff to cover here this Friday. I hope I can get to at least most of it. But the first thing, this just happened about 3 o'clock this afternoon. The National Archives confirmed that, yes, they found classified information among those documents that the Orange Vomit stole from the White House and took with him to his home in Florida. And the National Archives say they have consulted the Justice Department about this matter because this is an illegal criminal act. You know, I'm so goddamn tired of Donald Trump and his fuck you attitude where it concerns the law, all law. When he's caught, he and his scum-sucking family hide behind the Fifth Amendment. When he's not caught, he just continues to pillage and loot and steal and lie and cheat. The son of a bitch. Okay, come on, Mike. Anyway, according to a letter posted on the website of the it's called the National Archives and Record Administration, NARA. They posted at their website that they had, quote, identified items marked as classified national security information in those boxes. And that information was sent to Representative Carolyn Maloney. She's a Democrat of New York and the chairwoman of the House Oversight Committee. And that's a committee that has been taking a look at how the Orange Vomit handled presidential records by just breaking the law, just shitting all over the law. This man has no respect for anything. Nothing. The letter from the archives, and it was written by the National Archivist. Yeah, there is somebody. This guy's name is David Ferriero. He said, quote, because NARA, that's the National Archives, identify classified information in the boxes, staff has been in communication with the Department of Justice, end quote. Now, once again, here's something else that's being handed over to Merrick Garland, the Attorney General. And I hope Merrick Garland will take this and do with it what needs to be done, this information, and that is indict, or however it works. I don't know if he has the power to indict. Of course not. But indict this son of a bitch. This gangster Trump. Now, if you've been paying attention to this in mainstream media, and as I have in the past couple of weeks, there's been a series of disclosures that questioned the Orange Vomit's habits, whether or not he followed federal record-keeping laws, or just said, fuck it, and mishandled classified information after he left office. Well, we know what he did. We know what he did. Anytime there is a barrier in front of Trump that involves law, it can be city law, state, county, federal law. He doesn't give a shit. He just smashes right through it. The National Archives said in its letter earlier today that the White House, run by the Orange Vomit, had failed to turn over records that included, quote, certain social media records. So not only did the son of a bitch violate the law where it concerns classified information, but he is continuing to violate the law by not turning over the documents that are not his. They belong to the National Archives, the federal government, in other words, the American people. Mr. Ferriero also wrote, he's the guy who's the National Archivist. He also wrote that, quote, some White House staff conducted official business using non-official electronic messaging accounts that were not copied, were not forwarded into their official electronic messaging accounts, end quote. In other words, remember the shit they tried to pull on Hillary Clinton? Oh, 30,000 documents missing from her server. These son of a bitches, these Trump gangsters, they just said, fuck it, and used whatever system they wanted to, and in total violation of the law. The archivist said, Mr. Ferriero said that he was in the process of trying to get some of those records, the messaging records that went through some other source. So This disclosure that the orange vomit actually had classified information among the things he stole from the White House has caused assertions from some of the Democrats of Trump's hypocrisy. Oh, come the fuck on, Democrats. Hypocrisy? The man is a criminal son of a bitch. Deep breath, Mike. Remember how the orange vomit made attacking Hillary Clinton's alleged mishandling of national security materials a centerpiece of his filthy campaign in 2016. Remember that? So the deal is here in January, after lengthy negotiations between the Orange Vomit's lawyers and the National Archives, negotiations, 15 boxes of materials that Trump had stolen from the White House were sent back to the National Archives. After negotiations, I'll tell you what, go into the White House next time you're on a bus tour and you go to the White House. Go to the White House, and if you see a real interesting looking paperweight sitting on somebody's desk, pick it up, put it in your pocket or your bag, and leave. And make sure somebody sees you. And when Secret Service uniformed officers come and arrest your ass and charge you with theft, think about what the orange vomit did. Now, the boxes that the archivist had to negotiate with the Orange Vomit's lawyers to retake possession, the boxes included, according to the New York Times, items like official letters, White House documents, gifts that were considered presidential records, government property, and were supposed to be housed at the National Archives. Yeah, go ahead, steal a paperweight and see what happens to you. In the letter to Congresswoman Malloy today, the National Archives put it this way, quote, in June 2018, NARA learned from a press report in Politico that textual presidential records were being torn up by former President Trump, and the White House staff were attempting to tape them back together. End quote. The letter to Congresswoman Malloy went on and said this, quote, the White House counsel's office indicated that they would address the matter. After the end of the Trump administration, NARA learned that additional paper records that had been torn up by former President Trump were included in the records transferred to us. Although White House staff during the Trump administration recovered and taped together some of the torn-up documents, a number of other torn-up records that were transferred had not been reconstructed or taped back together by the White House, end quote. Now, there was other information released over this past 2-week period that really showed the Orange Vomit's just bullshit handling of government property. This shit was not his, although that's what he thinks. He's a dictatorial little goddamn criminal. And if you're, well, this is my shit. No, Donnie, it's not your shit. It really isn't. The New York Times reported that among the documents that were sent back to the archives were some that the archivists believed were classified. And it turns out that they were. It was also reported that a book scheduled to be released in October by a Times reporter, this book reveals how staff in the White House residence periodically discovered wads of printed paper clogging a toilet where Trump had tried to flush them away. Jesus Christ. And then the Orange Vomit's use of private cell phones to conduct official business. Remember the screaming and farting and charges and just the raucous bullshit about Hillary Clinton using her own phone? Well, the Orange Vomit's use of cell phones to conduct official business also has led to, no shit, large gaps in the official White House logs of his calls on 1/6/21, the day that this pig bastard incited after organizing a riot and an attack on the country. And the fact that he used his own phone and not the White House logs has made it difficult for the House Select Committee's investigation into what this traitorous, treasonous son of a bitch did. So if Trump or the Orange Vomit, son of a bitch doesn't have a name as far as I'm concerned, if the Orange Vomit did not preserve cell phone records and failed to turn them over to the National Archives, that's another violation of the law. But again, Trump doesn't live by the law. Trump is a fucking gangster, thug, punk. Law? Please. Now, Congresswoman Maloney, for her part, had warned as early as December 2020, year and a half ago. All right, a year and 4 months ago, that she believed that the Orange Vomits administration was not complying with the Presidential Records Act. And she wrote a letter to the National Archivist, at Mr. Ferriero, expressing what she called, quote, grave concerns, end quote, that the outgoing administration, the pigs, quote, may not be adequately preserving records and may be disposing of them, end quote. I mean, way back a year and a half ago, this was made, the National Archives were made aware of this shit. And what happened? Nothing. And then weeks after the attempt to overthrow the government of the United States, Congresswoman Maloney requested voluminous materials from the National Archives, including documents and communications that were made before, during, and after the January 6th attack. And those records that she wanted pertained to the counting of the electoral votes and what was planned for these demonstrations and violence. And then last week, Congresswoman Maloney announced that she was starting an investigation in her committee after reports in the Washington Post surfaced that the Orange Vomit had been destroying documents and taking boxes to his rat's nest in Florida instead of following the law and turning everything over to the National Archives and Records Administration. In a letter that I guess went to the Justice Department, Congresswoman Maloney also said this, quote, I am deeply concerned. No, I guess this went to the archives. I'm deeply concerned that these records were not provided to NARA promptly at the end of the Trump administration, and that they appear to have been removed from the White House in violation of the Presidential Records Act. End quote. Now, I guess this went to the Attorney General. And she added in her letter that the Orange Vomit's practice of ripping up documents, quote, could constitute additional serious violations of federal law. Could, end quote, could? Congresswoman Maloney, there is no could or maybe or might or possibility. I'm sorry, I'm not, challenging the Congresswoman. But goddamn, I mean, the evidence is here. I mean, they found this shit at his house. They found this shit trying to be flushed down a commode in his private little crapper in the White House. They found boxes of classified documents. Don't use should, Congresswoman. Don't use could, might, possibly, maybe. This son of a bitch is the worst lawbreaker ever to obtain public office of any level. Oh, please get this bastard. Please, somebody charge him with crimes. Arrest him. Try him. Jail the son of a bitch. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.